They've actually done surveys with our clients, and they found that our custom closets, when they reach out to them 6 months later, they still love them as much as they loved them when they first got them. And that's huge. Like, think about anything else you buy. Do you still love it that much when it's 6 months old? No, I don't think you do. I mean, even your beautiful car that you may go buy or your truck or whatever. It's like, do you love that thing 6 months later? And do you use it as much as you did in the initial day? Well, you know what you do with your closet.
Today, we're diving into the art and science of custom organization with none other than Carmin Francisco, Senior Design Consultant and Sales Lead at California Closets. Whether you're dreaming of a luxury walk-in or simply want to maximize space in your mudroom, you're in the right place. Let's spring forward in style. Welcome back to another episode of Building Brews and BBQ. Well, we've got something special for you today with spring right around the corner. I'm sure you're thinking about reorganizing spaces, how you're going to change out all of your clothes in your closet spaces. There's all kinds of things you're going to be thinking about this time of year. So we decided we were going to bring on the best. I've got with me today Carmin Francisco from California Closets, who's going to share with us some of the cool, innovative designs, tips, what's new, and what just works out there in home organization, whether it's closets or even we'll talk about some special spaces. So why don't you just sit back, grab your favorite brew, and let's get started. With me is Carmin Francisco. Hey, Carmin, how are you doing?
Hey, Vince, I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks so much for coming out. It's always a special treat to see you. Carmin and I have been working together. We just finished, well, no, it's been a while now.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's probably been, about 6 months that we did our model home together, and it turned out fantastic.
It was really a fun project because you had all of the guidance going on and you had the interior design team just integrated with all of it. And it was so easy to be part of that because our products worked really well with your design and the style and what that house needed. So, and just the collaboration with us, it just worked out really well. Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
And what was amazing to me is when we first got together, I was only thinking closets.
Oh, right. Yes.
You know, because I've been doing this for so many years, and I had no idea how far, California Closets has evolved into all the other spaces. Some of the biggest compliments that we get on that house is the pantries.
Sure.
And who would have ever thought that you could make them as cool as you did? And we'll probably get into that in a little bit because it was just wild. It blew me away. But kudos to you all. We get so many compliments on that.
Thanks. The pantries. I mean, who gets to have two big pantries too in their house? That's beautiful. 2 walk-ins. I have a little 32-inch wide pantry in my house. And then we walk into this beautiful room home and you're like, a right pantry and a left pantry is fantastic. So we had a little fun with it, added some glass doors in there and did some pull-out features and just really wanted to make sense with what was going on in the kitchen too, coordinating it that way. So that was, it was a nice addition for that. Yeah, we did all the other closets also in a different, similar style, but different from the primary. And then we had fun with that pantry option. Yeah, thank you for letting us do that.
Yeah. Well, it just shows, to me, it just showed how much experience you have in not only design, but sales. The way you worked with me on that whole process and how smooth you made it was amazing. Tell everybody a little bit. You've been with California Closets for 15 years.
Right.
So tell everybody a little bit real quick so they know your background about how you came up through to what you do today, because you're also a mentor to a lot of the people that have come in after you.
That's very true. So what I've done is, and I came to Cal Closets, it was like July of 2010. And I started just as a designer, and I was, just thinking, let's do something new with this. And we just developed over time. And the system, it was so simplified. I was one of 3 designers at the time, and we covered all of Atlanta. I was driving all over the world to get to all of our clients. And then as we started growing, Then I started getting more involved in some of the training. And then when our team grew further, then they asked me to be one of the like assistant sales managers, sales leads. So that became really a full-time position, and I dropped back on design. I kind of, had to take that on because our team was growing so much. So I did that for about 5 years, and then I realized that I needed to get back in the field. I was missing a lot of that customer interaction. And so I stepped away from that position and got back in the field. And during that time, it was kind of all the beginnings of that project that we worked on together. And it was just perfect timing because it allowed me to use all the skills that I've learned just, through all the training that I was doing with our team, along with all of our new products and bringing those into play. So it was really fun, just something new. And I love being back in the field. It's just now I'm focused on the clients and what they need instead of what the entire team needs, and answering questions for all of their clients. Like, let me just focus in on what I've got going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And, that was one of the big things. And I could see that shining through was your passion. I could tell just when we first met that you just had that, just a overwhelming passion for not only sales, but more importantly, the design aspect. And I could see that with all the people that you would kind of bring with you and how they were just looking to you for the guidance and the
Nice.
teaching and the mentoring. So that's really refreshing. And I'm glad you're back in the field working in the 20% that you really love.
Right. No, I really am. And it's just fun because I do still cover a lot of the areas of around Atlanta, but we've got a whole team that covers everything else in Alabama, North and South Carolina, parts of that. So we do cover a huge area, but we're really, happy to do it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you first, right off the rip, because our listeners to the show, they're either thinking about building a new home or renovating their current home. Where, if they, because we all do that, especially this time of year, right? You wake up and you say, I've got all this stuff. I've got the winter stuff. I've got the spring stuff. And where should a homeowner or someone that's planning a home start?
Sure. First, I would probably do a bit of a purge to kind of start, to kind of see where the things are that you truly want to belong into your home. Just spend a couple hours and go, do I need this? Do I really have to have this? Does this improve my life? But then once you kind of got that going on and you're involving a builder or remodeler, then you need to talk with them. Like, don't just give me some tiny little space. What does this need to look like? And if you get us involved in those early stages, we're going to talk you out of putting your primary closet renovation into the room that has those crazy angled ceilings. Because how are you storing all your clothes when you've got an angled ceiling that comes down to 3 feet? Where are you hanging things? It's stuff like that. Or is that the room that has the pull down attic access? Or does that have all the electrical panels? Or does it have funny corners? And does it have round walls? And does it, you got to have a little guidance on this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have a custom carpenter out there for weeks working on your space, where we can assist with that if we've got more of a squared off area and we've got some height to worry about. We're happy to come in and help with a little bit of pre-design and to see where that can land. Doorways, door openings. Oh my gosh. I've been to so many homes, new homes, that have just a small closet door opening, like a single door, and they've got a wall that is twice as wide behind it. So if the door was 30 inches, they've got a wall that's like 6 feet, and they're trying to reach things back in these corners. Like, how are we supposed to do this? That should have been a double door.
That's right.
There's just no way around it. But that's the kind of thing that we could point out. Like, either make it 2 doors or don't have this closet.
Yeah.
This
So
size.
that upfront
design would be great.
Yeah, because when you talked about a custom trim carpenter, it gets really expensive. I know, because we are one that to go in and change those things, and so that upfront, consultation is huge.
It's huge.
But on the renovation stuff, you got to work with what you've got.
Yeah.
And do you like that? Having those parameters?
Yeah, it's fine. We know what our product can do, and we want to make sure that it can max out what the client needs it to do. And if, sometimes we're not a fit, for some of this, and that's okay too. But if you asked us about it, fine.
Yeah.
Stop into one of the showrooms and see what's going on. Talk to somebody there because we've got those going on too. And then they could find out without investing a lot of time or investing a lot of money. And if they know ahead of time, then I think that's a smarter choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And we ran into that, as you know, at our model home.
We did. We had some pipes in the
We
way.
had some pipes in the way, the closets, because,
Yeah.
where we built that home, they really are bringing back the whole idea of living with less, right? And so we talked about this because it's not what we're used to. a
Not
lot of
traditionally that size. Yeah.
That's right. And so I actually was walking around looking at the size of some of these closets saying, I have no idea how Carmen and her team are going to make this work.
Yeah.
But when you go in there now, and I look back and say, oh, wow, because you all are so good at what you do and planned it so efficiently,
Sure.
there's so much more. You walk into those small closets and it's like there's a space for everything. And it was planned so well that it was just enough of everything. So you made what made me sweat with the oldies, like worried about who's going to want to eventually buy this house because where are they going to put their stuff? You made it very,
It's
organized.
specific.
Yeah,
And it's detailed as to, to help them organize in the day so that, if they're sharing this closet, the one person is over on the left side of it, the other person's over on the right side of it. And they've got designated spots for formal wear and casual wear. And then they can kind of shop in their closet. And that's what we wanted it to feel like in there. And it felt a lot bigger in there when we first stepped into it because it was just drywall.
Yeah.
Right. And we talked about it and getting the lighting in there because there's lights in there. But that made a difference. And then just the positioning, getting these beautiful drawers in place and adding in some customized drawer features with some glass details on them and, picking the right colors. It just flowed with the house once it was in place. It just made sense.
So if I'm a homeowner thinking about my closet, or in the case of us, we're building a new house, what are some, if we were to peel the onion back, if you said, okay, these are the base things you need to be thinking about, just as, we can get into custom stuff in a little bit, which I want to because I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
But what are some of the base things that you would say everyone needs in their closet and for them to pay attention to?
I would say if we've got, proper height for that, minimize the amount of windows that you want to put in a closet because that just steals more storage space. People just have a lot of belongings. And in the US, we need to, understand that. It's like, okay, that's fine. If we were a company over in Europe, this would be a completely different conversation because they do little cabinets and that's it. That's all they get, 2 or 3 feet. They're done. But here we've, each person probably has 10 to 12 feet of short hanging things. And, that's just an average from what I see. But some people have way more. And some people have way less, and some like to have shoes. So you have to kind of think about what's going in there and what to allow for. But, we have that conversation. That's most of my job is listening to what people are trying to succeed and do in these spaces because they have so many unique ideas. And sometimes it's just they're trying to do too much with these little boxes. And if it doesn't work, well, then they're going to hate it. And I don't want them to hate it. I need them to love their closet. They've actually done surveys with our clients, and they found that our custom closets, when they reach out to them 6 months later, they still love them as much as they loved them when they first got them. And that's huge. Like, think about anything else you buy. Do you still love it that much when it's 6 months old? No. I don't think you do. Even your beautiful car that you may go buy or your truck or whatever. It's like, do you love that thing 6 months later? And do you use it as much as you did in the initial day? Well, you know what you do with your closet. And that's, I think, why it's just been a popular item for all these years.
Yeah. And it'll probably continue to be.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah. Because what we're seeing on plans now, and especially the new plans coming through with inflation, cost of labor and materials going up so much that the overall square footage of the home is smaller. And as much as I do, where are the architects now taking that space from? Well,
Oh, they're stealing it.
they're
Yeah.
taking it, and they're taking it from those auxiliary spaces like the closets, the pantries, the storage spaces.
Right.
And, because they don't want to shrink the kitchen. They don't want to shrink the bedroom. They don't want to shrink those things that they use every day and shine. But I really feel like that it's making that even more difficult, hence the need for a professional to
Right.
try to, what would you say? You're trying to strategically reclaim some of that space back and plan it strategically. So even though you don't have as much space, you're getting your stuff in there strategically.
Right. And everything that goes into those spaces when it is that way and you're trying to maximize, it has to earn its way back in because you've taken it out, you painted the walls, you've done everything to clean it up. And then when we come in, we're installing something. And at the end of the day, we're wiping it down and then you're bringing your things back. Well, you got to look at those again and say, are these really what I want in here? Because this is going to, either make it look junky or it's going to look like it's a showcase. So you have to decide, is this what I really want? And if you're fine with it being jam-packed in there, if it has to be, well, fine. So it has to be. But if you want it to be more of a relaxing space, then you would probably downsize just a little bit more again, and it's okay.
Yeah. What would you say? I know we talked a little bit earlier about these odd shaped spaces that typically always become closets, right?
They do.
What, if you could think, what would be the top tips for making the best use of that space? Because, what we'll see is we'll have a closet come in at an angle. And yes, you're long hanging will work, and then you're short hanging. And then you wind up with this little odd space. What are some things that you can think creatively that could use that?
It just all depends, really. In the width of the walls and everything. What I think helps me the most is that we put it into our CAD program, and then we can start with it empty and see what fits and what works and what makes it feel larger. Because you don't want like a rectangular room to feel like a bowling alley. That's not your goal. So you have to position things properly. And that's why I tell people all the time, let's just get things where they belong, with the shelving and with the clothes and the hanging things. And do we need hampers? And how do you use this? That's what we want to know. And then what comes into these odd spaces? Well, maybe it's just some shelves into those funky little angled, like little triangle pieces. So if that's what you got to have, well, that's fine. Then it's some shelves, or maybe you put your, suitcase back there, and that's fine too. Or maybe we don't come all the way to the floor so that you can put something back in that corner. I've designed around the oddest things, like a cello case. We've designed around wig stands. We design around oxygen tanks. We design around, there's a million things that we design around, and different, and they're important to people. So it's whether the space is odd or if it's odd things going in there, you just have to know what you want. Is this got to come in here? Maybe.
Right.
But
now,
you got to decide.
And so you're talking about customization, which
Sure.
I love. And you all have shown me some crazy, we use some crazy stuff in the primary bedroom closet.
Nice things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I say crazy because they're to
nice.
me, crazy is cool.
Right.
But
It's really different.
It's
Right.
really different and nice things I didn't know. Give us a vision or talk us through some of those cool customization pieces, like what we used. I know lighting,
Right.
glass.
Right.
Explain this butler, because remember,
on the sidewall.
On the sidewall,
Yeah.
it's a I can't even explain it, but I'd love for you to try to explain it to our listeners, because I didn't understand exactly what you were trying to say. But then I saw it and I was like, that is the coolest
Right.
piece. But also on top of, not only was it the coolest piece, we didn't know what to do with that wall. Again, it was an odd space because it was going to get tight. And you came up with this idea. Tell them about this.
Having this storage solution.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's this really beautiful piece. We call it the Maddox piece. It's from Tag Hardware. And it's a combination of metal and leather. So the horizontal pieces are leather strips, and there's different colors. And then the vertical pieces are the metal pieces. And then things that you can put on there are hat hooks and jewelry hooks. We've got a mirror, I think a small mirror on there. There's a little bag that's a leather bag that can hook on there. There's what else can go in there? Shoe hooks. Yeah, different jewelry pieces. But what it does is you can hang things on it like ties and belts and scarves. People have done dog leashes and all of that too in a smaller version. We did a larger version in that room because, like you said, the room itself was maybe, what, 5.5, 6 feet wide
Yeah.
in the back. So if you're standing in there and we had drawers across from it, it just got to be really tight in that entry and then just the door position. So we had to have something that was more shallow, and it maybe comes out 3 inches, I think, from the wall total. So even if you hang it with a bunch of things on it, it's still not going to get in your way. And then there was some shoe storage next to it, I think, with some hanging, lower hanging items
Yeah,
that came
that
into play.
wasn't quite as deep.
Not as deep, yeah. So that we could add some of that. But then, positioning the deeper hanging things, the front to back is on the ends. And then when we came around the corner, the drawer stacks were kind of the vision because you want to have something that's going to make a statement when you come into the room. And we did have a beautiful floating shelf placed above that also. But in those drawers, we had hampers that were in there. We had the drawers that have the metal detailing, and then they had the glass edges on them. And inside of those are special organizational trays so that you could do your jewelry or your makeup or whatever needed to be in there. So when those are the things we talk about with clients, this was just, an imaginary client. We were just trying to imagine how they would use it. But we've worked out in that development so many years that you kind of understand who's going to be moving in there. And whoever does buy it eventually, if they want to edit something, we can talk with them about that. We can bring that in and change out some of the drawer inserts or something.
So is that
So it's possible.
So it's kind of modular.
A little bit. It's a little bit modular, but it is very customized.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for that space. It's not meant to be moved around anywhere. It's not meant to move from one house to another. It's specifically designed for that. We did certain heights, in there. We did some glass doors. We did the lighting so we could see everything. Because there's a darker finish, so maybe you want to do that. But you don't have to have lighting. If you've got beautiful ceiling lighting everywhere, that works too. And the key is just making it feel like you and making it feel like it blends with your home.
Right.
And this one, it really did. And you mentioned going around some obstacles that came up because originally we didn't have to have an obstacle in the way. And there was something with the plumbing and some venting that we had to work through. So we stopped out there and figured that out. I got on with the engineers and we figured out how to conceal that without people probably even noticing. And especially once hanging clothes go in the way, we created this little shelf bump out that comes in and down, and it just blends with the backing in this section. And now you're all going to go and look for it, but that's fine. It's okay because it's really nice. Like, it looked okay. And when shirts are hanging in the way, nobody's even going to know it's there, but it had to be there. So fine, we had to figure out a solution for that.
And what was amazing about that is I didn't really know 100% what to expect. I knew it was going to be nice, but when I saw it, it really kind of took my breath away in terms of I did not know this level of customization that you could do in a closet like that with the different variety of stuff. I mean, you're talking about the pullouts where it was a jewelry organizer.
Sure.
But not only was it an organizer, but it was in like what was it, like not a
flat tray,
flat
almost.
trays, and it had the fabric, almost like a
it's a micro suede mixed with the leather inside of there with the aluminum that matches all the other metals in the room. And
it just felt so good.
Right.
And with the lighting, how it would light it up, and the top that you could see in with the glass top.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then, like you were saying, the floating shelves, I was like, I like this better
For
than
cologne or something, that they could put that, some cologne and jewelry or some artwork or some pictures of the family, however they wanted to use it, it would work.
And what I liked so much about that organization is you had those drawers there that you didn't have to take that extra step. And that's why I can appreciate the way you design and how California Closets takes it to another level. Because not only are we talking about concealing things that are problematic in someone's existing closet, or in our case, there was some pipes we just had to come into the room with because we had to get over a beam and we couldn't change that. And you know it's there, but I've not had anybody say, oh, they made that beautiful ledge for a purpose, but it
Yeah.
looks like it's there for a reason and it made sense. And much like the lighting and how it not only adds this lower layer of lighting in combination with the above lighting,
Sure.
it kind of gives it a nice warm feel in there.
Right.
And it also lights up all the stuff.
Of the
So you don't
accessories,
need
yeah.
these. And the way I was looking at it is you go in there and you don't necessarily have to turn on the really bright in the
Yes.
morning. You just get up,
Right.
overhead lights that wakes you
Just
and
glaring.
shocks you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Right.
you can start it with that and it's soft,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of ease. So I really like how you design that.
Yeah, and they're on dimmers. So you're right, because it's the first place that you see in the morning. It's the last place you see at night. So yeah, if you could dim those lights a bit to make it softer, when you don't have to see if it's a dark blue or a dark black, like, fine, I'm just going to grab my pajamas. I don't need all this light. It's fine. So you can do that, and it just makes such a difference. We've got so many options now. It's all LED lighting, and it's just very safe for all the materials. Nothing's going to fade. Different light switches and things. So it just depends what
Yeah.
you want to use it
Yeah.
for.
And I still love all the pull-out things.
All of the little
belts.
pullouts, the garment rods and the
Yes,
belt racks,
yes.
and yeah, some of my favorite items.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have one in our
You need
closet.
that.
I know.
Yes, and you each need one
Yeah.
because I will not share that with my husband. Yeah, like, that's yours. This is mine. Don't be
cute.
hanging your jeans on mine.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Is
Yeah,
that what you hear a lot? You install one. Do you get a lot of callbacks to say we need to add a few
another.
more of these things?
Yeah. I mean, and people will do that. They'll say, "Hey, can we add another one of these, or could we get some more hooks, or can we do whatever?" Because you put some in there, and they're not exactly sure how many they're going to want to use, and if they love them, well, fine, sure, get some more.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And what I also liked is you had so many different color options.
Sure.
Way back in the day, it was like, do you want antique white or white?
Right. That was all,
yeah.
pretty much, or a weird cherry wood or cognac. That
Yeah,
was another color that was popular back in the day.
that's right.
Oof.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it going to make a comeback?
No.
No.
No, we're not going to let that happen.
Not a chance.
No. There's a beautiful wood tone that goes with the mid-century homes, kind of that warmer brown that's got some red in it. But beyond that, I hope that some of those old colors don't
Let
come
it
back.
stay-
Let
let it
those go.
stay
They're
dead.
very plasticky. We don't need that going on because we need to have things that go along with a modern home. Our team goes over to the Italian furniture shows in Milan to understand what the trends are. So I don't know if they go every year now, but once they go, then they bring back those colors and then they bring them to our suppliers and say, we need this. We need this to blend. And then they curate our collection of colors. Like you said, I think now we've got 16, but they all work together. So you could have, a certain color for the shelving. You could do a different color backing. You could add a third drawer color if you wanted to, or add some metal accents. It all works
Yeah.
beautifully together. And that's because of our team that's behind us. We just get to present that all and say, hey, how do you feel about this in your home? Or would you like to do that? And it all, depends on what they want to do.
I love that look, and I think you did it.
It's just really
We
pretty.
did it there. I love that look of the two-tone.
Yeah.
Where you have the one baseline color, and then you have a drawer stack or
Mm-hmm.
something different that's in a different color, or even they have wood finishes.
Sure.
And so I love that mixture that you use. And, and it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about earlier, how it really boils down to whether you're renovating or building new, getting you or someone at California Closets, no matter where you are in the country,
Right.
because you are all over,
We're all over the place. Yeah.
to engage them, because there's so many things that you can make to get the biggest bang for your buck and the most use out of the tight space, and such a variety of colors that it just feels like it's part of the home.
It really is. Yeah. And you don't want it to feel like an afterthought at all. You want it to be something thoughtful, something that like it helps their day. It improves their life because we want to we call it practical magic, because sometimes it does feel like magic. You walk into this space beforehand and it's just this silly wire rack that was there and it's just jam packed and it's half falling down. And then when you come back or you see the pictures and you're like, oh yeah, That's how this room is supposed to be, because it is kind of magical. I wouldn't live in a house without them anymore. There's no way. Before I even moved into my current home, while the inspection was happening, you had a couple hours, I was there, like, I'm measuring closets, and I ordered my closets before I even was moving in. So, timing them out so that you can get them there and you get the important ones done first, perfect.
What
We'll come
is
in and do that.
And I don't know if you all had any trouble during COVID
Oh,
with.
yes,
Oh,
we
you did?
did.
Yeah. Okay. So just like everyone.
Some supplies, yes. Yeah.
Now that we're in 2025,
Yeah.
what are some typical lead times that if you have a customer come in, you say, "Hey, we'll work on your drawings, we'll get it finalized."
Right.
What sort of time frame should they be prepared to expect?
Right. I would say most of our things will go in between 5 to 8 weeks. If there's some special order items, it could be a little bit longer. But we would know that right up, and then we could choose.
That's really
It's
fast.
really fast,
That's really
for
good.
custom ordered items, and it's our own team coming in and installing it for you. So we're going to take care of it, and we're going to warranty things. And when you've got the right people putting it in there, that's when you have the least amount of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got a team looking at every step of the way. So it's important.
So you've been doing this for
Long time.
a long time and you're a pro at it. I want to dig into your head a little bit.
Okay, what you
So
got?
what do you think the top 3 things that you would say are a must in 2025 to go into a custom closet?
Gosh, I still fall back on some of the good standards, like those garment rods that we were talking about, so that you can organize your day. If you've got an event later on in the day, you can hang your outfit up there. If you come home with dry cleaning at the end of the day and you're in a rush to get out, just leave it up there on that garment rod. You're fine. You can hang necklaces, whatever. I love laundry solutions so that you can keep your hampers, tucked away, but then you can just grab them and makes it easy for laundry day. I think having a few drawers in there is really nice so that you can actually get dressed in that room. So for socks and underwear, that type of thing, then you can just be ready when you leave that space. You don't have to go wake somebody up in the other room if you live with somebody. And then you could, just get dressed for the day.
I love that. And one of the big things you mentioned there is what we don't have in our closet. It was before I could afford it.
That's totally good. It sounds like I'm coming to your house someday.
Yes, you are. And it's a hamper.
Oh, right.
I
It's
never.
so nice.
Oh, that is so nice to have in there.
Yeah. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
Separate your dry cleaning from your lights and darks, however you do it. 3 sorts, 4 sorts, I don't care. We'll figure it out if it makes sense and get you some options.
Yeah.
Because everybody does it a little differently.
Mm-hmm. It's so awesome. It's a lot better than me throwing it on the floor.
On the
corner
floor. Terrible.
And then my poor wife yells at me.
We're not doing that.
Yeah.
See, we save marriages.
See that? You do.
We
you
do.
save
Partnerships
marriages.
and marriages, we're good.
California Closet saves marriages.
Yes. We've
One
all
house
said
at a
that,
time.
we could probably really write a pretty good book about all the stories and the things that families have brought to us and the conflicts that they have in these spaces. And we probably could write some books.
Yeah, I believe
about that, but we will not.
Now, this might be it might be tough to answer, but what do you see as the top trends? Is there anything
Of
coming
style?
of style?
What did I put in there? I would say adding in some of those leather accents are really kind of fun because we have vegan leather options. We have hide leather options. And the hide leather, we actually do countertops in those. We wrap shelves in those. So for some exposed spaces that you'd want to show off, some beautiful boots or a handbag or something, and you could choose that. The vegan leather options, we've got those with some of the inserts that are there. We can even put the accent in a hanging pole. We have a few of our handles can now be wrapped in leather for parts of them. So we've got some models with that. And I think that's, just a really fun way to do it. When we first were introduced to the hide leather, the company that we use, it's a beautiful small company. And they were telling us, we're like, are you sure? Is that going to be durable? And they're like, do you sit on leather in your car? Are you worried about it when you get in and out of your car? No, you're not worried about it. It's the same thing. but you just have it on a counter space. So it's like, oh, all right, beautiful. And we have some showing off in our Alpharetta showroom. It's white and it's gorgeous. But so there's that. The countertops that we do with that are beautiful. We can wrap some boards on the wall cleats, and we can put hooks through that on the leather kinds of things.
Really?
It's kind of fun. The jewelry options we already talked about, having those kind of in there just adds texture too. And another way to add color, because sometimes people are afraid to add a little bit of color. And most of the things we do are neutral tones. They're the grays and the beiges and some of the browns and all of that. But if I have somebody that loves blue, right? So if we want to add a little bit of blue, well, let's add a little bit of blue in the strip of the hanging pole. It's just a little accent color. This beautiful dark blue can come in there. So why not? Have some fun with that. I think the lighting is another big deal. With all of our lights, we've got different ways to do it. We have a whole lighting program that's within our CAD program, and it recommends certain lights. And then we can now assign them to different groups. So we can have all the shoe lights come on at the same time, or we can just have the over the countertop lights come on, or the toe kick lighting, or the up lights, or whatever. And we can program them to different volumes and intensities of the lighting, so that it's very customized. And I was just working on that earlier today.
Really?
Assigning lights. So, and it all, goes right into our plan and goes to production. And then the installers program it on there and attach things properly. So it goes, whatever the designer talks about with the client is what gets installed.
Do you think at some point they're going to have the hanging bar made so that lights up?
It does.
No, you're kidding.
You can have that option.
Already?
Sure. Yeah. It'll light on down on the shoulders. Sure. Yeah.
I always wondered if that would be I always thought that would be really great because then you can really see.
Yes.
Is that?
We can do that.
No way.
Yeah. It's a strip that goes underneath it, or you can put it right above the hanging pole if you want to in the shelf. So you could do it either way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've kind of thought of
We
everything.
kind of have thought a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing this, 1978? I think was when the company started. So over the years, things have developed. It started as just very, very simple designs, just trying to maximize some college kids' space. And now we are into all kinds of different homes. I would say 70% of what we do is still very functional space. But the rest of it can be very customized. Yeah. And I think that's some of the fun that we have with that.
Yeah, because we talked a little bit earlier about the doing the pantry
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
other closet where there's bulk storage and things like that.
Yeah.
Are there other spaces that you would say, don't forget California Closets can do this as well?
Yes. I was thinking about a garage that I did a few years back. These people came to me. It was a very large garage. They probably could have held, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 cars in there easily. It was 3-car garage plus some depth. So they had some options, and their dream and wish was to match a closet or not closet, but a garage organizing system to their new Mini Cooper car. And that's when Mini Coopers were just getting very popular, right? So this was this beautiful red and silver Mini Cooper. Like, all right, let's see what we got. So challenge on, let's go. And this was a home that was not brand new. So we had walls that were angled, and we had, the concrete up the sidewall, and strange things were happening over there. So we had to figure out how to level everything out. We used leveler legs back in there, but we were able to find the right colors for the grays and the blacks, for the cabinetry part. And then we had, at the time, a high gloss red that matched her car for the doors, and thus deeper gray that we used for some of them. So doors and drawers. And I mean, some UGA fans would be really pretty happy with this garage too if they ever came to sell, because it's that right red for that. But otherwise, I think they're just keeping it, or they're just going to have to keep Mini Coopers in that color because it's great. So when we did that, they were so thrilled that it became a bigger project for them. They then sent me pictures later on. They went and did a custom flooring with another company and did like these click and lock tiles that were in red and gray and black to match their car. So this whole thing became this showcase.
It was the catalyst.
It was just the beginning of everything. And then they were so happy about it. They painted all the ceilings and everything. It was just gorgeous. Like they could have a party in there. It was great. And people don't think about that. When you're coming into your home, that's the first thing you see there. So why not get it a little organized? It doesn't have to match your car, but it can, match what's going on in your home too. I've done them where it's just some beautiful lighter brown tan kind of wood. But then we've got, things for custom heights of, kids' backpacks or tennis bags or space for trash cans, things like that, and storing above that so you can go around it. That's been important space for those things. Yeah.
So very versatile. You can
Really
if you've
versatile.
got if there's a space, we can figure it out and
Yeah.
have durable
Right.
a durable product
Right.
for that space.
Yeah. Right.
It's almost like the tagline for California Closets should be the beginning of everything.
Oh, I like it. The practical magic in the beginning of everything.
That's right.
Okay, good. I'll pass that on.
Pass that along. That'll be the
Here you go, marketing. Go for it. Yeah, that's really kind of a thing to do. People don't think about their laundry spaces either, and we do a ton of those. And it can be super simple over that. But if you want to hang dry things and then you don't want to look at your laundry detergent bottles, fine. We can hide them away behind some fun doors, and maybe that's a place to bring in some fun color. Because if you do your base as like a white, and then you could bring in like a mint green or something on doors, or, it's just kind of a neat way to do it.
Yeah,
Add a little fun in there, throw in a rug, and, then you've got like a nice place to go and spend some time because you're in there all the time.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So, what is one feature that every homeowner should prioritize?
I think it's probably just really making it yours. And that's where we just start asking the questions. We want to make sure that we know how you want to use a space, what works for you, what makes sense in your budget. We want to hear where you're at with that so we can funnel it down. We've got 400 pages of products, and I'm not going to show them every page of this. I'm going to pull and, grab stuff that makes sense for them. I was just working recently with a closet for a girl I think she's about college age, living at home, working a part-time job, and her mom's like, you know what, she's probably going to be here for a while, so let's fix her little reach-in closet. And she had some very strong ideas about what she wanted. So I had a really simplified design to prevent initially. And then the girl gets on the phone with me after I'd left the house because she wasn't there. And she's like, hey, what if we did this? Could we turn this here? Could we add a little space for my shoes? I don't need those drawers. Could we add this? I'm like, absolutely. So she and I then worked together through some phone calls and video chats and got it just narrowed down for her. And it was really fun. And it's not a huge project, but it's important space.
Yeah.
Those little spaces. I had somebody reach out that had done a closet with maybe 3-4 years ago, did their primary closet because most people start there. It makes sense. I mean, you're living in your house, you're paying for the house, you should get what you need. So then they called me back and they said, let's do the guest closets because I've got, people staying here longer than I expected. I don't need just a rod and a shelf anymore. So she had me come out and they were installed recently. And she's like, why did I wait so long? Because now they function beautifully. The people that are staying here, they don't have to leave a mess all over the place. They just tuck things away. And then it didn't cost a ton of money. It just works for her home. And now she doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Done.
Isn't that funny? I've always found it funny that we don't really take the time to think about those things. We always say, oh, we'll get to it.
Right.
And then usually we get to it right before we're either going to move or sell.
I know.
And then I wish we did that when we
Absolutely.
when we could have enjoyed it.
Enjoy it for a while.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
And during the build process or the renovation process, here what we do is we really stress those different facets of the build that often get left until the end. And like in any good renovation project or home building project, there's no money left
There's
at
no
the
money.
end.
Right.
And, in the closets, they come in, I wouldn't say at the end, but you're getting there because they're finished. They're coming in finished. When you all put those in and you're done, they're done. And that's the finished product. So they come towards the end.
Sure.
And what we've discovered over the years, early in my career, we would always say, well, don't worry about the closets because we can, that's something
get
that you
you
could
something.
always change, or, or I don't put enough budget in there. And I've been very guilty of that over the years.
Sure.
But in the last 5 and 6 years, I've been seeing that those spaces are so important. They're more important than many of the other spaces and things that come earlier in the project
Right.
that we put money at, but we don't think about. And like you just said, it's so personal, and you hit the nail on the head that now what we do is we try to bring you into the fold early, even before we even start for budgeting,
Right.
to say, listen, here's the space of the plan. Before we finalize your budget, we really want you to have this space personalized with California closets and put in there, and we will move things around because we know at the end, just like you were saying and just saying, in the day-to-day, it's those little things that you didn't do are going to either unconsciously or consciously bother the daylights out of you.
Right.
And it's just going to be one of those things where it makes for you don't know why you're not enjoying your day.
It's irritating.
It's irritating, and it's this little irritant that you can't pinpoint, but it's because your closet wasn't done the way
How you use it.
Yeah, how do you use it?
Right.
And so we make sure that we do that ahead of time, and we really appreciate you coming alongside of us in California Closets to put that together and to make it such a priority in the homeowner's life, which is so important.
It is important. I had another client recently who loves wearing suits, and has more suits than I think I've ever measured, because we're measuring the lengths of these things from the top of the hanger to the bottom of the suit. And I'm like, how are you going to put this in this closet? He had them on hanging racks because his builder had put in, it wasn't you, but his builder had put in walls that were maybe like 40 inches from the floor. Now, a typical man's hanging item suit would probably be like 40 to 42. His were like 46 or 47, just to the top of the hanger. Like, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to get him enough volume in this really odd closet? Because like this whole long wall, it was like an 18-foot long deep closet, had this low ceiling on the left side. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So we had to build it up and out and deeper into the room so that we could gain some space and get his hangers up higher on the wall. And that, yes, it takes time and money in order to do that. But now he can use his closet, because otherwise it was looking like he was just rolling things in and out of a fashion show because he was on rolling racks. That's all he could do. And his suits didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
He needed some space for them.
Yeah.
So we had to scratch our heads for a while and figure out, how can we maximize this? Where do we put his things versus her things? And I think the saving grace in that closet was they didn't want to have their shoes in there. Thank you, because it gained me some space. They wanted to have bags and sweaters and all of that, but they didn't want to have shoes. Okay, we put the shoes in the garage. They're all taken care of. Beautiful cabinets, but we didn't need to have them in there. So that was a choice. You only have so much wall that you're given. So you have to decide what gets to come in here.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about that is, we talked about the customer and their budgets and planning ahead of time and how important that is, because this space matters. And you just touched on it. What can a builder do? What can a remodeler do?
Sure.
And I would say first and foremost, and I've learned this from you, is get the team involved early.
Yeah.
Even before, so you can actually tweak a plan.
Sure.
If you've got to steal a couple inches from this room in order to make something work, it's better to know earlier as opposed to later. And not only that is, I always tell my homeowners, listen, if we plan right, plan early, we are going to save money and time while we build. We want to limit the rework.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a huge delay.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I saw that in real time when we were working on the model homes closet, where you were able to do the plans. We made some adjustments to the best we could.
Sure.
Right. And then you were also able to put right on the plans, hey, we need a wire to come out here on the wall.
Right.
And it was early enough. If I
It was
didn't know
easy.
that,
Yeah.
it would have been, okay, how do we get a wire back in here? We got to cut sheetrock, get the electrician back. It's going to be a change order.
Sure.
It's going to cost more. How do we address this? And it's rework, which costs money. So
Right.
having you on board early, it also saves money from then a customer trying to figure it out later because we put things in the right spot. You're
Yes.
always, your team's around to double check. That was one of the
We
big
do
things.
come around and double
Yeah,
check those.
that was
Right.
huge.
Yeah, we have field support technicians that come out afterwards to make sure that, yes, the electrician moved something or that HVAC piece that needed to be shifted, that vent, did get moved. Because when we come out, we're not, cutting on site. We're coming in pre-cut,
Yep.
and we want to get done in our time allotment. So, and we don't want to cause delays. So this makes sense, yeah, that we can come in there.
Yeah.
I was just working with somebody else where they ripped out some other custom cabinets in this closet. It was all filled with them. And then she wants to streamline everything. Well, when the field support tech went out this past week to verify that everything was gone, we're like, oh, what's that floor vent? What's that doing? So I spoke with her and she's like, oh, no, I'm going to move that. I'm like, okay. Here's the depth you need to move it to. We're here to guide them. We're actually, we're not general contractors, but we do coordinate with them all the time so that we make it easy. We want this to be the easiest projects for them. We don't want them to be stressed about it. We want it to come in on the day we say it's going to come in. We want our people to have an easy day. That's my goal. That's what I always have in mind, is that my client and my installers will have the best day. I don't want them to be thinking, oh, what did I do? Because it's a huge investment sometimes, and for them. And sometimes, even those smaller closets, it's a big investment for them initially. If this is their first time doing something custom, they don't know that it was going to cost them, whatever, $600, $1,000, whatever for this little closet. And so it's important for us to get it right. And I don't care if it's a tiny closet or if it's a big, huge closet or a big garage or the whole house, whatever. Every little space matters. Every little corner matters. And we want them to use it well and be happy with it, because in the end, I want them to share the happiness and, have people call me back and say, hey, I want to do this, or my neighbor needs us to do this.
Yeah.
That's the referral on that is the biggest thank you and the biggest compliment that we can possibly get.
Yeah. And I wonder if you see this because obviously I know a lot of builder colleagues and friends. And what I found is the builder a lot of times will try to explain to the customer, well, just focus on your primary bedroom if you're going to do a custom. We'll get our trim contractor to build it in, and we'll get these hooks in this bar from Home Depot or a big box store, and we'll have the painter paint it. And it's been a couple of years now, but I've actually quizzed builders on that and homeowners, because homeowners are potential people that want to renovate or build. They'll get estimates from different builders, and they'll even ask the question, what's your budget allowance or your allotment for our closets? And what I found is a lot of builders fall back on that. But what we've proven, which is so crazy that people don't realize that, and it needs to be out there more, is the fact that doing it that way, with the price of materials increase, the labor, this and that, it's and them not getting it right, not getting it right. The trim contractor not putting things at the right level,
heights?
At the right height.
Oh my goodness, right?
Because there's nobody really planning that. No. And so what I always tell the homeowner is, if you're going to go that route, you are going to wind up spending more. And that's what we see. When you really budget it out on those smaller closets, you're going to spend more to try to build it in yourself than if you didn't just go with a well thought out, pre-finished
simplified design.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And because I've had people, like I think of this one very petite woman that I was working with, and then she had a shoulder problem. And so on top of her height, she couldn't move her arm very much. So she would move her arm and show me how high she could go. And she's like, that's it. That's all the hang height I can do. I'm like, are you sure? That's it. Okay, well, then we measured, and that's where we put her hangers because she couldn't get to them any further without a step stool. And I don't want her climbing up and down every day. So that's how it gets to be very customized. We just have to do it for them. It's their space. It's not my space. I'm a lot taller than a bunch of them, or I'm shorter than them. And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And it has everything to do with their home and how they see themselves using it every day. There's just, I think that's why I like it,
Yeah.
because it is different every day. Every customer has a different story. Everybody wants to use the space differently, and it's fun,
And I think that's a absolutely fantastic place to try to
right?
start coming in and land this plane.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been so gracious,
Oh,
but you did speak about personalization.
yes,
And that's
personalize
a
it.
big part of
Yes.
closets. And I know that. And I know that with your personality, your attention to detail. But this is Building Brews and BBQ.
Right.
And although we didn't get to eat anything or drink, I did want to personalize this from the brew portion
Okay.
and get you I know you love Sonoma wines.
I do.
And so we got you this quilt from Napa Valley,
Beautiful.
and we wanted to give it to
Thank
you
you
as a
so
thank you
much.
for coming. It's
Thank you.
also a little bit early in the day, so we probably aren't going
We
to crack
won't
that
get,
open.
yeah, maybe we won't crack that open just yet, but
Not quite
maybe
yet.
maybe when the cameras go off, we may.
That's right.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add as we go, or I feel like we talked about so much?
We did talk about a lot of things. I mean, 'cause it really is, it's the whole home, that you want to consider when you're customizing it, because you talk with interior designers are a big part of your business. They're a big relationship with us also because they can add in that detail that maybe we don't think about, if they're doing a certain fabric or a texture that they want to bring in, and like, how can we coordinate our products with our hardware and things? So we want to make sure that what we do feels right for the home. We want to coordinate with the builders. We want to coordinate with whatever timing we need to do because, once we come in there, we're not there very much. Like, I'm there in the beginning, I'm check in the middle, and then I'm there at the end, or sometimes I'm not, but the installers are. And then I just check in later, but I want to hear that they love it, and that's the best part is when it all comes together and it's all complete and they just sit back and just kind of take that deep breath, and then they realize that it's done and it's mine and it feels right. And that's where we want it to be.
Well, I'll tell you, we love California Closets.
Thank you.
They're spectacular, and you've been a tremendous partner. And so
You too.
for all of our listeners and those watching on YouTube, how can they connect with you?
Right. I'm online. I have an Instagram too, but it's Carmin Francisco at California Closets, C Francisco at calclosets.com. I'm in the Atlanta area, so if you forget all that, you can look us up. We all have our headshots on our webpage, so you can find me there. If you called into our 800 number, you could say, "Hey, I want to talk to that girl Carmen. That was, she was on this podcast and things." So they'd find me. They know who I am. I've been there long enough that most of the people kind of know who I am.
Terrific. And they
Yeah.
can go right to the California Closets main website.
CaliforniaClosets.com, and they could find us, plug in their zip code, and if we service that area, absolutely.
Perfect. And that's how they can also find out if
Anybody.
California Closet services their area.
Their
around the
area.
country.
Correct. Yeah, just plug in your zip code, and it lets you know if we do or not. I mean, we're in Canada, we're in Puerto Rico and Mexico, and also, I think every state in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, Hawaii.
So it's going to be
Alaska.
somewhere near our listeners.
Somewhere near these listeners, and every location runs a little bit differently, but we've all been trained the same, and we all want to be there to help you, to guide you through this process,
Awesome.
because you're not going to do it twice. You're going
Yes,
to do it
yes.
right the first
Let's
time.
do it once.
Yes.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a real
Welcome.
pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And for you listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe, and we'll get you on our list for new episodes coming out. You can follow us on YouTube. That would be great. And wherever you get your podcasts. So until the next time, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Building Brews and BBQ.